Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be doing this read aloud with you today. It's by my favorite author of all time, Dr. Seuss. He was the first author who I ever learned how to read his stories and his books. Whenever I know somebody's learning how to read, he's the first author that I suggest to them. His stories always have a good lesson, they're always a little silly, and they're just really great. So I chose this one because our reading assignment for today was to read a story or read a book and think about what the conflict and the solution are. Now, we've kind of talked about conflict and solution a lot in the past few days with our plot mountains, but it's really important to discuss it in detail when you're really thinking about the rising and falling action of a story. Um, so, as I'm reading today, I want you to think about what is the conflict in the story? What are the characters wanting but can't have? Or what kind of internal struggle are these characters having within themselves or with others? And then think about how that problem is solved. So, the story I'm going to read is called The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss. And it teaches a really great lesson that I think everybody needs to hear every once in a while, that you should never, ever, ever judge anybody by what they look like, what they own, their possessions, what they like to do, because nobody on this earth is better than anybody else, no matter what anybody tells you. So, once again, this is The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss. Think about that conflict and resolution, how it's solved. Now the star-belly Sneetches had bellies with stars, the plain-belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars weren't so big, they were really so small, you might think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the star-belly Sneetches would brag, "We're the best kind of Sneetch on the beaches." With their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort, "We'll have nothing to do with the plain belly sort." And whenever they met some when they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. When the star-belly children went out to play ball, could a plain belly get in the game? Not at all. You only could play if your bellies had stars, and the plain belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. When the star-belly Sneetches had Frankfurter roasts, or picnics, or parties, or marshmallow toasts, they never invited the plain-belly Sneetches. They left them out cold in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. Then one day, it seems, while the plain-belly Sneetches were moping and doping along on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. "My friends," he announced in a voice clear and keen, "my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles, I've heard you're unhappy, but I can fix that, I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you, I have what you need, and my prices are low, and I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed." Then quickly Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine. And he said, "You want stars like the star-belly Sneetch? My friends, you can have them for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop right aboard." So they clambered inside. Then the big machine roared, and it clonked, and it bonked, and it jerked, and it burked, and it bopped them about, but the thing really worked. When the plain-belly Sneetches popped out, they had stars. They actually had stars upon theirs. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start, "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're all just the same now, you snooty old smarties, and now we can go to your Frankfurter parties." "Good grief," groaned the ones who had stars at the first. "We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now how in the world will we know," they all frowned, "if which kind is what, or the other way around?" Then up came McBean with a very sly wink, and he said things are not quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who, that is perfectly true, but come with me, friends, do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best Sneetches on beaches, and all it will cost you is $10 eaches. Belly stars are no longer in style, said McBean. What you need is a trip through my star-off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars so you won't look like Sneetches who have them on theirs. And that handy machine worked very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely. Then with snoots in the air they paraded about, and they opened their beaks and they let out a shout. We know who is who, now there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are Sneetches without. Then of course those with stars all got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star now was frightfully bad. Then of course old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you probably guessed, things really got into a horrible mess. All the rest of that day, on those wild, screaming beaches, the fix-it-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again, through the machines they raced round and about again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money, they kept running through until neither the plane nor the star bellies knew whether this one was that one or that one was this one or which one was what one or what one was who. Then, when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-it-up chappie packed up and he went. And he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They never will learn. No, you can't teach a Sneetch. But McBean was quite wrong, I'm quite happy to say, that the Sneetches really got quite smart on that day. The day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars and whether they had one or not upon theirs. The end. So like I said, I love that story because it teaches such a great lesson about treating others the way you would want to be treated, and you can't assume that one person is better than another just because of something you notice about them or something that you think you notice about them. So as I said before I started reading, you needed to think about what the conflict or the problem in the story was and what the resolution or the answer to the problem was, how it was fixed. So the problem in the story is that all of these Sneetches, whether they had stars on their bellies or whether they were plain bellies, were fighting over who was better. And they kept changing themselves and they kept trying to make themselves the better group, even though there really wasn't a better group. So the problem is they all wanted to be the best, but nobody ended up being the best. Because what the best was kept changing based on what Sylvester wanted them to look like. So that's the conflict. The way the conflict was solved, the way that these Sneetches decided not to think that way anymore, is they all kind of got upset when all of their money was taken away by Sylvester McMonkey McBean. And they kind of said, well, it doesn't really matter what we look like, whether we have a star on our belly or not. We're all Sneetches. We can all get along. We're all the same as long as we treat each other with respect. So the resolution, the way the problem was solved, is that they all just kind of decided to put their differences away and treat each other the way that they wanted to be treated. So like I said, I love that story. I love Dr. Seuss. I will most definitely be reading more Dr. Seuss later. I hope to see all of you during our Zoom meetings either today or tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If I don't get to see you, I'm going to miss you so much, but I'm sure we'll see each other soon. So love you all, miss you all, and can't wait to see you soon. Hi everyone. So our math problem of the day is again a two-step word problem. So it's really, really important that you're reading the question carefully and you're really understanding what the question is asking you before you even get started. So our math problem of the day today is about some boys and girls that want to play a game. It says there are 10 girls that want to play and 14 boys. And in order to play the game, they have to split into 4 equal teams. So if they want to play the game fairly and each team has an equal number, how many will each team have? So when I'm thinking about how to solve this problem, I need to remember that I need to figure out the total number of players because I can't split the teams equally unless there's a total number that I'm working with. So I know that there's 10 girls and 14 boys. In order to find a total, I'm going to add those numbers together. So 10 plus 14, 0 plus 4 is 4, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So I know that there's 24 total students playing. It doesn't matter how many boys and girls, I know that there's 24 in all. Now the second part of this question is asking, if they have to be split into 4 equal teams, how many players will be on each team? The really, really important word in that question is equal. Whenever I see something being split into equal groups, I know it's either going to be multiplication or division. Multiplication is when you have equal groups with a certain number in each group and you have to find the total number. Division is when you start with the total and you're splitting it into groups to find out how many are in each group. So when I think about this story, we're starting with our total, 24, and we're splitting it into 4 groups. So that's going to be a division problem. Our dividend is going to be 24, our total, and we're splitting them into 4 groups. So we're doing 24 divided by 4. Now in our last video, I think yesterday, I showed the division strategy of using the skip counting lines. Again, that strategy works for me. If it doesn't work for you, then don't use it. Use the strategy that works the best in your brain. Today I'm going to use the array strategy. I know a lot of you like to use this one. It's just another option, another tool in your toolbox that you can pull out if you ever need it. So to do the array strategy, our divisor is going to be the number of rows that we are going to make. So here is 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows. So here's our 4 rows. And I know in a division problem, our dividend is the total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on to those 4 rows until I have a total of 24 circles on my board. So if I add, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 circles. We're not up to 24 yet. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we've gotten to our dividend, 24, and our quotient is going to be how many columns we made. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. So our quotient, our answer to our division problem, 24 divided by 4, is 6. Now, as always, you need to have a label. If you answer a problem and all you give me is 6, I don't know. 6 what? 6 chickens? 6 dogs? I don't know. So in this problem, it's talking about how many players will be on each team. So I know our answer is going to be 6 players. I hope that was helpful for you. Again, I want you to be really, really thinking about these two-step word problems, thinking about how to solve them, and using the strategy that makes the most sense to you. That's what's most important to me. I hope to see all of you during our Zoom meeting either today or tomorrow. If I don't see you, I'm going to miss you so much. We're all going to miss you, but I'm sure we'll be seeing each other again soon. So make sure you're staying happy, staying healthy, and I will see you all soon.